please go.
I don't know if I was trying to get myself. Trying to get myself. I was gonna say what she said. Yeah.
I would expand it somehow. Okay.
80 degrees.
Where does it say that?
It's at the bottom left.
Oh, okay, gotcha.
One watching.
What if we had like 100? Wouldn't that be cool? Let's guess who one of those two are.
So I think the meeting on Friday.
Yes. How do you hear about that?
Oh, then.
I asked them if they got to come to a meeting. They're like, no, I'm not. We got to meet first. I'm like, okay, you can be gone.
No.
It's like, yeah, it's all for you.
Welcome to the regular city council meeting, Tuesday, July 26th. May we have roll call, please?
Councilmember Ramirez.
Here.
Councilmember Cardenas.
Here.
Councilmember Costa Junior.
Here.
Councilmember Robles.
Present.
Mayor Julian.
There, we have a quorum. Will you please stand with me for a moment of silence and then pledge of allegiance? There's a gentleman, Armando Garcia, who was connected to the show, who passed away several weeks ago. Army veteran, lived on Pacheco Street. Oliver Street. Him and his wife is still around, so condolences to him and his family. And then for those that are suffering through the war in Ukraine, please join me in a moment of silence. Thank you, and also please join us in the Pledge of Allegiance. Ready? Begin.
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America, and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Thank you. Next item is agenda review. Is there a city council person that wants to change the order of business or city staff? Any changing? No, good. And for those of you that, we'll go to item 5, those of you that wish to speak on an item that's not on the agenda, there's some request to speak forms in the back. The first person that has spoken out is Juliana Hill, Taylor Farms. Juliana, please.
Hello, good evening. My name is Julianne Hill. I'm from Taylor Farms, and Taylor Farms was formerly Appio Curation Foods. I was with that organization for over 19 years. So I've been in the community, but not as involved. With the Taylor Farms acquisition, the Taylor Farms retail team has really been committed to being involved in the communities that they operate in. And so we've been more active, or trying to get more active and reacquainted with Guadalupe. So, so far we've helped sponsor help with the Leroy Park opening, and we did a little bit with the Cinco de Mayo celebration. And then recently we helped support some of the local kids from Guadalupe at the Santa Barbara County Fair at the auction. So we're getting there. I've already met so many wonderful people that are very passionate about this community, and I look forward to working with more of you. But tonight I'm here to remind everybody about the blood drive. It's tomorrow, and it's from 2 to 5:30. We've been working with several of the organizations in town, and to just work together to get as many people out as we can. From 2 to 5:30 at the Taylor Farms facility. So just look for the big Vitalant blood mobile. It'll be there right in front of our office. And I know, sometimes access to technology, computers is, a hindrance, so I have a form that has some of the available appointments, so if anybody's interested in still signing up, let me know, I can take your name and number and contact you tomorrow. And maybe there will be a grocery bag, reusable grocery bag and a bag of veggies for you, so. I just want to say thank you to everybody to, the City of Guadalupe, the Guadalupe Business Association, Los Amigos de Guadalupe, Lupe's Company, Vietnam Veterans of America, even the Dune Center, and many other organizations who have helped spread the word and get the word out and try and get everybody involved. So thank you. And thanks for those who have already signed up to donate tomorrow. So looking forward to it. And thanks for serving the City of Guadalupe.
Thank you. And I'm sorry, I called you my niece's name, Juliana, so Julianne, so,
That's okay.
okay.
People call me Juliana also.
And
It works.
we also appreciate, I know that you did some, landscape cleaning
Yes,
that, the city did done a week or so before that, and then you cleaned, your company cleaned the rest of it. It looks good, so
thank you.
appreciate you moving forward on that.
Thank you.
All right, thank you. Thank you for all you folks do. Okay, any other item, any other requests to speak? Yes, please.
It's about, no, on the agenda. Do I just go?
Yeah, go ahead.
First of all, I wanted to say thank you so much for the leadership you guys have done to bring Leeward Park to its current condition. I'm a new resident of Guadalupe and my grandfather has certainly enjoyed that park. And I was really excited to hear about the other things that you have planned for coming to the city. And I didn't notice any of that on this agenda or a future agenda because I'd like to help, if it's possible, bring the communities, no, it's a performing arts center
Good.
and for the childcare. I don't know how to get involved, so I
Okay,
came to ask or to say thank you for that and ask if that was possible. And then another thing that I didn't see on the agenda, and that's probably because I don't understand the protocols of how these things work, but there was a special meeting last week about 2 companies that are considering coming and bringing cannabis as a business to the city. And I don't know what happens. I don't know when those minutes will come out. So we know what was decided or what part of the manufacturing process that they're gonna bring here. But it caught my attention because of this notice that I got in my mail where it's talking about finding people for smoking in the wrong place. And the statement, fighting for our future, one kid at a time. I don't know exactly who put this out, but it just seemed to me to be at cross purposes for us to be concerned about secondhand smoke and not what's gonna happen after the cannabis comes to our community, because I don't know, I'm not educated enough to know, but it just seems like a company or I don't know what I want to say there, that is, I'm not seeing that there's more good than fun. That's all, but, beyond that, my first part stands that I would like to be involved in my community, and if there's any way that I can help, let's do that.
thank you. And Inga, right?
Yeah.
I would recommend we connect with Chief Cash and also Todd regarding your requests, because there's a lot going on. And I don't know if you want to talk about, I'm looking at Phil, we didn't have that meeting last Tuesday.
Oh, it didn't happen.
No,
Yeah,
it
it
didn't
was
happen.
canceled.
Yeah, that was
Oh,
canceled.
okay.
And that's scheduled for the 16th.
August 16th now.
I won't be on vacation.
Okay, well, good. And it's, it is a special meeting, like the one on July 18th would have been, but that was canceled.
Okay.
And I'm gonna give you my card, and you're a little behind on the process. I can fill you in. You can give me a call,
That'd be great.
and I'll fill you in where we in the process involving the cannabis. Okay? Because there's a lot going on.
Thank you for the interest and welcome.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Okay. Next item is community consent calendar. Is there an item that a council member will wish to pull? And if not, is there a motion to approve the consent calendar as noted?
Mayor,
Yes,
I'd like to pull 6J if possible. To modify a date on the agreement from the staff report, just to correct that.
is there a motion to approve the balance consent calendar?
I'll motion to approve the balance of the consent calendar.
Is there a second?
I'll go ahead and second it.
Okay, any discussion? All those in favor of the motion, say aye.
Aye.
All opposed, no opposition. So we'll talk about item J.
Take it away, Shannon.
Yes, thank you, Mr. Mayor. The thing I hate doing is pointing out my own typo. But there's a date inconsistency. The staff report says the term of the agreement is August 18th, 2022 to August 31st, 2027. But if you go to page 6 of 9, item number 11, it says that the MOU shall begin on July 21st, 2022 and end on July 31st, 2027. I would like to make the dates in the agreement match the dates in the staff report and reflect August 18th, 2022 to August 31st, 2022. August 18th, 2022 to August 31st, 2027.
Okay, any questions from the council? Any additional comments from staff? Those in favor of approval of item J with correction? Is there a motion?
I'll motion to approve the City of Guadalupe Transit and SB or Santa Barbara, SB transit operator agreements.
Is there a second?
I'll second that with the amended date.
Any discussion? All those in favor of the motion say aye.
Aye.
All ayes, thank you. All right. We'll go to the city administrator's report.
Thank you, Mayor and Council. Just wanted to express the August 16th special city council meeting date at 6 p.m. for the interviews. That's all I have to say.
Boys. All right, any questions, Todd, regarding that or any other item?
Thank you for getting that date together. I know there was a lot of moving pieces, so.
Yeah.
Yes, you're welcome.
All right, item 8, Director of Public Safety report, information only. Mr. Cash.
Thank you,
Chief
Mr.
Cash,
Mayor.
sorry.
No problem, sir. And council, only 2 things to report out. One is got our final numbers. We had 9 citations issued for illegal fireworks, and we'll be processing that with our city attorney. And I think this was a letter that was sent out to the mayor and some other council people concerning, as one of our citizens spoke up about tobacco studies. About a year or so ago, the Santa Barbara County Public Health came and talked to us about tobacco prevention, and every city in the county got a grade and we had an F. And through our council's actions, which were very much appreciated, within a year and a half's time, we brought ours up to an A. But the thing that was more exciting about it is we're in a case study by the American Lung Association and their Public Health Law Center shows that not only that we have an A, but we're the only city in Santa Barbara County that has an A, and we're among the top scores across California. So I think that's something to be very proud of, dealing with making sure that minors are not smoking alcohol.
No smoke.
A cigarette.
Maybe they should.
Yeah. Maybe I haven't had enough wrestling. Smoking tobacco,
Okay.
correction.
Understood.
Thank you, sir. That's my report.
Thank you, Chief.
We know what you meant.
Must have been a long day.
Yeah. Item 9 is mayor's report. That information is presented in the packet. Any comments or additions to that? If not, we'll go to item 10, public hearing. Public hearing to consider LaGuardia Townhomes 2022-01 GPZ. And let's see, Mr. You're handling it.
Yeah, I hope so.
Okay.
Thank you. Thank you, Mayor, City Council. Good evening, staff and members of the public. Again, I am filling in for Director Hopple, who's, when I last talked to him, he was in the campground in Kentucky. So he's moving across the country. Again, the project before you is the LaGuardia Townhomes. And for me, I like context. I know everybody's familiar with the city, but I just like to start with a little bit of context. So there's a vicinity map. I know most folks are familiar. And there's a color board to share. So again, the project is the LaGuardia Townhome Project, a 20-unit multifamily development with 2 accessory dwelling units, ADUs. The project consists of 2 parcels that total 1.08 acres. The project consists of a general plan amendment and a rezone, GPZ 2022-001 GPZ, and a design review, which is typical for a project like this. File 2022-002 DR. The general plan and rezone will up the zoning from its current R1 zoning to allow the high density residential multifamily district. The design review again will be to evaluate the project design itself. The property again is located between LaGuardia and 11th Street. The property has an abandoned single family home on it that may be relocated and renovated by the property owner. In terms of the design review part, the site plan is labeled DP1 and DP3, and it shows the project layout. We have that available to you. It's a nice layout in my opinion. There's a driveway that connects between 11th Street and LaGuardia, and homes, the multifamily development is on either side of the driveway. It's a pretty good layout. 18 2-bedroom units, 2 3-bedroom units. 200 square feet of open space is provided per unit, 11% landscape coverage. Again, good looking 1 and 2 story buildings shown on the sheet DP1 and on the little color board. Therefore, all the code requirements are met in terms of design review. In terms of the GPZ, the rezoning, again, would go up to R3, high density residential from R1. That would accommodate the multifamily project. This area will ultimately be rezoned as a part of the general plan update, but the applicant wanted to get a head start and get the project moving as opposed to waiting for that general plan amendment or general plan update. There's a lot line adjustment that would combine the 2 lots, but that would happen later prior to issuance of a building permit. The project is exempt from CEQA environmental review. It's an infill project on a site less than 5 acres. So we call it a class 32 exemption. No further environmental review is required. With that, staff would recommend adopt the resolution 2269 approval of the LaGuardia Townhome Project, including general plan amendment 2022-001 GPZ for low density residential to high density residential, and approve the design review to allow construction of the 22-unit and 2 and 3 bedroom townhome project and the 2 ADUs. Again, design review 2022-002 DR, and then introduce an ordinance 2022-503 for the first reading to rezone the property from R1 single family residential to high density residential. This will conclude staff's presentation. The developer property owner, Mr. Luigi Alvarez is here also, if you have any questions for him or me, but that would conclude our presentation. Thank you.
It's too easy. I mean, in terms of your report.
We like it like that. I hope you like it like that.
Well, I have some comments on it, but I want to open it, we'll open it to the public in a second. I wanted to see if there's any council members that have any input at this point. Before we open it to the public.
Yeah. Where are we with our general plan? With the general plan?
The update,
Yeah,
you asked me that. Larry's the lead on that.
okay,
But again, we're still in the consultant process. There's still the environmental review, so there's some steps away.
okay.
So I can't go into specific detail, but there are steps. We're still working with the consultant. So,
Okay.
Yeah,
EMC plan.
glad to get you more detail though.
I'll get you an update. I'll give you a timeline. I'll send it tomorrow.
I would agree with that as well. I think one of the things that, I get the sense that I think where Lily's coming from is housing is gonna be huge for us in California and just in general, and probably there's no exception to that. But one of the things that our community, is lacking is kind of the buying power of someone who's maybe like a young professional coming in, someone who might have like a townhome condo, those types of areas. And if we start, and just a thought as we start infilling with things, we don't have a whole lot of room to grow. And, we're not we're not expanding or anything like that, because we're in on land surrounded around by us. So that's one of the things that had me thinking when I was looking at this residential development was, I wonder what it would look like if it was condos or another opportunity with that.
Anything else from you? Another side?
What are we looking at when they're gonna start doing the Escalante Metals project?
Not familiar with that project, to be honest with you. That's another one of Larry's projects.
October. Yeah, it's in October, and I think they're gonna do it in 2 phases. They'll start 1 phase and then they'll work that out and then do the 2nd phase, so people will be living there part of the time, and then others will be relocated.
Okay.
Yeah.
I'm only just thinking because I know on 11th Street, it's pretty narrow at times. And you get traffic that goes through there, like with 2 constructions going on at the same time. Being able to keep it from having any kind of accidents, like about widening the road and getting some turnings or something. I know other places in other cities, when a developer comes in, the cities look at, okay, what are you gonna do to help with the more flow of traffic, or to kind of, make it ease up on a lot of congestion. I'm not sure if we have anything like that. But if that'd be something we might want to start looking at towards the future. Things, in areas where we're looking at putting something up, because you're gonna look at more traffic, more cars. Your egress in and out, like you said, you have both on 11th Street side and LaGuardia, which, that's good, because you can bring in. You can make one, like, if you don't, like, do something for at least coming out, you can exit out to 11th, but you enter in through LaGuardia just to, maybe because at least there's a stop sign that goes down to that area right next door to Escalante Metals is gonna be, so yeah.
I'd like to comment, you did. I'd comment on Councilmember Ramirez's point regarding home equity and the ability of folks to purchase them. And I think, and I know that today's news is that there's not a lot of single family homes that are being built because of the downturn, and perhaps a point where very few homes are going to be built. That's one area, and I know that this development, in terms of what it's going to be, in terms of condos or apartments, is up to the developer in terms of what that's going to be. And I know that the money, perhaps the money is not so much in the, and I don't know the numbers in terms of a condo versus rentals. And I think the long term, perhaps, and I'm not, when we go open up to the public, maybe we'll get some information from the actual developers of this project in terms of how does that pencil out in terms of a condo versus the apartment complex. And I'm assuming that the apartment complex is gonna generate more resources. I don't know. I'm not a realtor. And in the past, I asked, and this is one point, little over an acre. And in the past, there was a number that was thrown out, how many people can be housed in 1.1 acre, and there was a number 100 based on apartment size and my concern then was the amount of individuals in that area and that small area with a lack of open space. I don't know that it said that there's a couple hundred square foot of yard space or whatever that's going to look like. And then there's 2 areas there for ADUs. So, to me, it would be more appropriate instead of the ADUs on those sides to actually put a little pocket park where people can actually, instead of have a little barbecue pit, just like pocket parks there in Pasadena. So those are my comments, but I think that I'd like to hear from the developer in terms of what was brought up in terms of condo conversion, townhouse conversion as opposed to rental. So if no further council comments, I'm going to open it to the public and we can go from there. So at 6:26, I'll open it up to the public. And I have, I don't know if you want to speak first, Mr. Lopez, or you want Lupe, the developer, to come up. Lupe, why don't you come on up and tell us about your program?
So, council, good evening. Thank you for the opportunity to speak again. Previously, I passed out some pictures. That is the neighborhood that's there right now.
Right.
Most of the area. My dad came in 1957, and when they came, they lived in Velarde Tract. That's the official name, but unfortunately, the nickname, the subpar name is Big Juanita, Little TJ. The new People Self-Help Project has really tremendously improved that area. I also believe the Housing Authorities Project will also improve that area. We looked at condos, but just to set up a condo association to get the attorneys to, you have to subdivide each parcel of airspace into each individual one. It would be cost prohibitive and would force the cost to go up, especially when materials are expensive already as it is. So I don't know if you know this, or I think Ariston probably remembers this. Sorry, Mayor Julian. So the apartments are behind the Veterans Building. Those are condos. They've never been converted to condos. They're still apartments. So they really, and actually right now in this time, they could tell everybody either move out or offer that to them if they want to, but they don't want to. So for us, the whole area is going to be R2 officially. R3 has the same density as R2 will when you guys do the general plan update. I heard from Larry that it's somewhere maybe November, December for the general plan update to be ready. Could be some delays. The consultant hasn't been found yet. To address the mayor as to the ADUs and whatnot. So Mr. Appel actually wanted us to have 200 square feet of open space, because that way they can barbecue in their own backyard. They could have their kids safely play right there. The ADUs are state law, so we're just following what state law affords and allows, and that's why we want to do that. But I really want to change that name from Juanita to just Velarde Tract, or the entrance to Guadalupe on the north side, but not Juanita. That's old derogatory names. Our same architect that designed the ones for us on 12th Street, we'll be designing this one, our same contractors, same framers, same electricians, same plumbers will do the work here. So we have confidence it's gonna be a great project. We hope our project encourages either other property owners to hopefully sell or maybe develop their property. The condos is, I agree with you, Mayor, it's a personal choice. There could be incentives maybe from the city on somehow to encourage that, but I don't know how you incentivize that when Mr. Sinkel probably knows more about that than I do about how expensive it could be to condoize something. And then there's also lawsuits, because there's always construction defects or, and there's usually lawsuits afterwards because something's making something uneven or whatnot. But I think that's something that maybe in the general plan, I think you could encourage that maybe other developers may pursue condos. I think the Plaza Villas behind Royce Liquor actually was pursuing at one time condos as well. I'm not sure where that's at. But it's it's a hard thing to, I agree with you. You offer that family a chance to buy, but what about the people that already live there? Where are they going? And actually today, so as far as the housing authority, they might be starting at the beginning of the year, but there's 8 people that are being pushed or encouraged to find housing now because there's mold in 8 of their units. And everybody else will be getting notices in the second wave or whatnot, but those are actually coming, people are looking right now. And unfortunately, it's summer, so everything's tight right now. There's not much housing available anywhere. Got a call from Fresno yesterday. They can't afford to buy, but they want to rent on the Central Coast, and they told them try La Plaza Villas, try Riz Apartments. I can give them, their information, but it's just tight and there's not much housing available. So that's our project. I hope you could support it. And we're just following what's available as far as the rules and the laws, and we hope it encourages others there to hopefully sell or build something there as well. So if there's any questions, I'll be happy to answer them, but if not, I'd be happy to sit down.
I don't, maybe regarding the LaGuardia in terms of the actual size of the street, is that going to be expanded, or is that the street as it exists now?
So is that for me or to?
Well, to both of you.
Okay, so the city limit is only up to the road, to the north is county.
But I'm talking the south, LaGuardia itself, the actual street that goes back into it. It's only one-way street, going in and out.
Correct. So there's no room to extend because you have property owners on both sides.
Okay, all right. So there's the exit, and then is the exit from 11th through to LaGuardia, or is it?
Both. So that way
thoroughfare? Yeah.
there's no tight traffic. It's also a truck route, by the way, so
Yeah.
you're not gonna be able to, if you don't want them to go on Luby Street, then there, and so we're kind of tight on all sides here with semis and produce trucks.
I know that, that 11th Street is the highway to strawberry fields in San Luis County. And the same issue that was brought up before with people self-help is in terms of the traffic and the exits, and I don't know if there's gonna be any calming, street calming going into going west, but that's gonna be a busy intersection.
So there isn't, and I'll let our city engineer share that information whenever she, on your plan there.
Yeah, I know that there's some funds to actually repair that area.
Calm it down, I think.
Yeah,
Yes, thank you. There are funds available through the Escalante Meadows project in order to create a multimodal path on the south side of 11th Street to provide an opportunity for safe passage along there, and also to provide a barrier between pedestrians and traffic on that south side of the street.
what's with me barrier?
I'm sorry?
What do you mean barrier?
Some sort of you can either do like a split rail fence with openings, provide there are any number of different ways. And in fact, I'd like to convene an advisory group to help with design plans for that area, to provide an opportunity so that kids can walk safely there while still providing, parking opportunities.
Okay. This, as Luca knows, and people that have been here a long time, that most of the zones came from, Union Sugar, and perhaps you should take that one back to them, let them, do something with it. Regardless of this is obvious in terms of the pictures that you have of the place, is pretty obvious. And is there somebody living in this one in the very corner one yet, or?
Sorry, which one?
Yeah, the yellow.
Is it occupied?
Oh, no, the one that's boarded up, no,
Yeah,
they're
they're all
just,
like-
they're like the Vasquez.
Okay.
They're just boarded up and they're nice or,
Yeah, literally.
yeah, so there's nobody living in there. I think that the city, either code enforcement or the fire department had issues there. And
Yes,
they were not allowed to live there anymore.
return, they have problems with that area.
If there's any other questions, I'd be happy to answer them. If not, I'll be.
Well, I have one request to speak, and maybe this guy will build some condos in that area. Mr. Lopez?
Mr. Mayor, City Council members, Peter Lopez, and I just wanted to speak in favor of LaGuardia Townhomes. And as a citizen of our community, as a property manager, I'm fully supporting this, knowing that housing is tight, as as Lupe has mentioned. It's not just in Guadalupe, it's in Santa Maria, it's in San Luis Obispo, it's in the Pomo, it's everywhere. We definitely need housing. I know that Lupe has built some excellent projects here in our community. I think he will continue on that track record. He's also very active in the community, so, he's gonna see to it that it does become a nice project and it stays a nice project. I helped Cabrillo Development years ago with a project that's adjacent to, that would be to the east of this property here before they sold it to People Self Help. And so I was proud to see that project go up because it's been a very dilapidated area in that part of town. And that was, I think, a good catalyst to bring in future development as Lupe is, and any future development as well. So I'm in favor of this project, and I ask that you fully support this project. Thank you.
Just a second. Since the property owners are here, if I may ask, what is the going rate for a two-bedroom apartment in Guadalupe?
That's a good question. Okay, it could range anywhere from, say, $1,300 as high as probably $2,700. And I say the ranges because there is a certain amount that rental rates can be raised per year. So if you're at 1,300, you could see a 10% or 8%, depending on how ownership is held. It kind of becomes convoluted. But if I use a standard of 10%, somebody at 1,300, the most that they could raise that would be $130. Okay, so there's certain built-in factors that limit the affordability of some of the rentals. That's why there's such a variance in the numbers.
There's thank you. Any questions, Mr. Lopez? There's
Thank you.
thank you. There was a group, Community Changers, that is ready to, would like to prepare a information on affordable housing. What's affordable anymore? It's really, Lupe, it's a question for you and Lupe and Gustavo. What's your vacancy rate?
0. But to answer your question, and I'll give you the most recent nice project, and if the 2,700, I think probably bust out there for some of the 2-bedrooms, I think, but the one on 11th Street by Leroy Park, $1,800 brand new. So indoor laundry and outdoor, we have a outdoor laundry if they want to wash and finish up faster, but 1,800 is what they cost. That's what the rent said. And that, I mean, we went a lot of nice amenities. It has real tile roof, real clay tile roof, it has concrete, no asphalt. Cameras stuck underneath the eaves, so we upgraded everything and the rents are 18 on a brand new development. So we hope to be somewhere in the same range over here.
Thank you. Lupe. All right, any other comments from the public in this open public meeting, hearing? I see no hands. We'll close the public hearing to 6:39. Back to staff. Any questions? Follow.
What other, will there be a bus service? I know we mentioned that for Skunk and Meadows. Would it be accessible for this project?
Bus service, I would defer to the city engineer. We talk about that all the time.
In terms of connectivity, what this project will be able to be connected to the rest of our community, walking to schools, walking to our downtown.
Yeah, Mr. Mayor and the council, I believe so. From a general planning standpoint, it's an infill project. It's a good location. The overall goal of the general plan is a wide variety of all types of housing wherever we can get it. So the bigger distribution and the more housing, the better. So it's a good location. It would redevelop this project 20 units on 1.08 acres on an underutilized site. It's a good project. I just drove by there and there were folks walking, so I call it walking distance. I don't know about the 11th Street part of it to get to a school. That part might be not the best. But in general, it's a good project and a good location as far as the general plan policies are concerned.
Shannon, on that regarding bus.
Yes,
That's it.
as far as,
You turn your.
it's on.
Okay.
Sorry.
All right.
Thank you. In answer to your question, this project requires continuous sidewalk from the project, from actually the end of LaGuardia all the way to Galante, and connection with the sidewalk that Gonzalez put in, which will provide a continuous sidewalk to the Escalante Meadows. And if you recall the design of Escalante Meadows, which has its parking lot facing 11th Street, and there are plans for a bus stop right there in front of Escalante Meadows. So there'll be continuous and safe walking path to a bus stop well within half a mile of this project.
But a half a mile is a long way.
I don't know the exact.
Okay. I don't think
It's well,
short.
it's well,
Short.
it's well short of that, but
Okay,
we use the within a half a mile being the industry standard of within access to a bus stop, but yeah. I would need to sit down and measure it, but it's well within walking distance.
Just a side note, the state says if you're within a half a mile of a bus stop, you don't need parking for an ADU, so it is a standard. Half a mile is a recognized standard, whether it's good or bad.
unless you have 3 kids and you're 85 years old and sharing groceries.
Yeah.
Okay. Any discussion from the council or staff? And we have a recommendation. We received the presentation from staff, we conducted a public hearing. Now we need to adopt resolution 2022-69, approving 2022-01 general plan zoning for the land use designation amendment of 2022-002 DR. For the townhomes, including the DR findings, CEQA class 32. Exemption and conditions of approval, and introduce ordinance 2022-503 for the first reading to rezone the property from R1 single family residential to R3 multiple dwelling high density, and continue the ordinance to August 9th for the second reading and adoption. What are the wishes of the council? Thank you going on.
I motion to approve resolution 2022-69.
And the rest of the item.
And the rest of the stuff.
Well, Mr. Mayor, I think we should,
For the first reading.
three different, I mean, one's a resolution, one's an ordinance, and then the other's a motion, so I think we need three actions. I'm sorry for the technicality.
Okay, need one for adoption of resolution 2022-69. Is there a motion to approve that?
That's what
Item C, correct?
You did that, right?
Resolution.
Was there a second? I'm sorry.
Okay,
That motion to approve resolution 2022-69.
okay, all right, thank you. Is there a second?
I'll second it.
Any discussion? Roll call, please.
Councilmember Ramirez.
Aye.
Councilmember Cardenas.
Aye.
Councilmember Costa Junior.
Aye.
Councilmember Robles.
Aye.
Mayor Jillian.
All right. All ayes.
And actually, Mr. Mayor, we can handle the next two actions in one action. We can introduce the ordinance and continue it in one action.
Is there a motion to that in that regards?
This is for the R3,
Yes.
One to,
Yeah.
from 1 to 3.
1 to 3.
and that is that just for this specific project?
Yes.
Oh, yes, this is an ordinance. It's only for this
For this
project.
project.
Yes.
But the project remains R2.
I think if I remember from the staff report, this is basically a temporary designation that will change when the general plan is updated and wipe this out. I think that's the plan. But either way, it's the same density, so.
Gives the applicant a head start on the future rezoning.
Right.
But yeah, this doesn't create a precedence and it's, I mean, I guess it could, but under the similar facts, but it's an ordinance that applies to this property. Or this project.
Is there a motion on, to approve that? Ordinance number 2022-503 as first reading.
I'll motion to approve ordinance 2022-503 for the first reading.
Is there a second?
I'll second it.
Just also to continue for the second reading, right?
For August 9th.
Yeah,
Except for the first.
yeah,
reading.
thank you.
Oh, you needed to say for the,
And you can do it one
Want to
action.
go, want to do both?
Yeah, do
Okay.
both. Make it speed
Is
it
that
up.
good? Can we amend your motion?
Yeah.
Okay, amended, your second, you good with that? Okay. Any discussion? All those in, roll call, please. Thank you.
Councilmember Ramirez.
Aye.
Councilmember Cardenas.
Aye.
Councilmember Costa Junior.
aye.
Councilmember Robles.
Aye.
Mayor Jillian.
Aye, all ayes. Thank you. Thank you.
Thank you, Cal.
Yeah, thank you, Mr. Lopez and the elders. I forgot to mention, we may have somebody on Zoom that may have wanted to share. I don't, are they still on? Can you see?
Yeah, there's 8
Yeah.
people watching, but I.
It's a non-shareable one. It's
Oh,
just, it's just
okay.
reviewing.
It
It-
technically can't
yeah.
at this point.
It's set up to only be viewed, legally.
Yeah, This is not a remote hybrid meeting.
Right.
It's just a regular meeting and that's for people who just want to watch the live. stream.
Okay,
So it's like when they would TV.
Yes,
Yeah.
it's our
all right.
conversion from our cable to TV or to
Okay.
Zoom.
Cable to the internet.
Cable to internet. Yeah.
Okay, thank you, staff, for that information. Item 11, regular business, classification, job description for facilities, parks, facilities/park maintenance lead positions in Parks and Recreation Department. Ms.
Yes.
Fuentes.
Thank you, Mayor. So a background for this job, the Public Works Department historically housed the function of streets, sewers, storm drains, public works, construction and installation, as well as general maintenance, repair, upkeep, and janitorial services for the city's facilities and parks. With the recent hiring of the city's recreation services manager, myself, and a reorganization in the Public Works Department, a new position was established, the Facilities, Parks, Maintenance Lead, Parks and Recreation, reporting to the Recreation Services Manager. The overall responsibilities for all aspects of facilities and parks maintenance fall under this new position, and reporting to this position is a maintenance worker 1. To have more control and minimize response time with outside vendors, the city moved the majority of landscaping and janitorial needs in-house and hired a second Maintenance Worker 1. The city has been and will be continuing to improve all its facilities and parks with projects coming up such as Leroy Park Phase 2, Central Park renovation, the Royal Theater, and the O'Connell Park baseball field. Focus attention on our facilities and parks requires a lead position to provide planning and scheduling of major maintenance and daily oversight in the city's parks and facilities. Sourcing equipment and supplies and scheduling maintenance and janitorial tasks to staff are the responsibilities of this lead position. City council did approve the funding of this position with ARPA money. So the recommendation is that the city council adopt resolution number 2022-70, approving the classification and job description for the facilities parks maintenance lead for the Parks and Recreation position.
Thank you. Any comments, questions from staff, staff and council?
Yeah, I have one on the job description. Is there a way, just like we did with, actually, with your position, to say that it's grant funded and that this is continuous on funding?
We certainly can do it in the job posting, but my understanding is the position will be funded at some point through the general fund.
Right, but currently right now it's through.
Through ARPA, right?
Currently, yeah, through 2023.
I mean, not to prelude to item 12, but things are not looking super great right now, so.
Right, can I call
Yeah.
as HR?
Put on my HR hat. For posting purposes, advertising and things like that, they will be stated.
Okay.
And certainly when we interview, and hopefully we'll have a multitude of candidates, so we'll mention very clearly the funding and all of that. But it won't necessarily be in a job description because of the changes.
Yeah.
We don't have to go in.
So put posting. Okay, perfect. That makes sense.
As long as it's like, both,
No,
no, to the.
Oh, absolutely. Yeah, Hannah and I already talked about that.
Okay.
Done.
You know, and that's appropriate. And that basically what it says to us, the city, is to make sure that we generate resources to make sure it's a full-time, non-ARPA funded program. So it's best to identify that with people coming in, so.
Yeah.
Any other comments? There is a need. Okay, we have resolution 2022-70.
I'll motion to approve resolution 2022-70.
I'll second that. Motion second. All those, roll call, please. Any discussion first? Roll call, please.
Councilmember Ramirez.
Aye.
Councilmember Cardenas.
Hi.
Councilmember Costa Junior.
Aye.
Councilmember Robles.
Aye.
Mayor Julian.
Aye, all approved. Thank you, Hannah. That's a good job. And HR. All right. Next item, fiscal year 2022-23 budget amendment.
Hello, good evening.
Hi.
First of all, I was recovering from a cold, so I hope my voice didn't go out. It goes in and out sometimes. So background, on June 28th, City Council approved the fiscal year proposed budget for the 2022-2023 year. The proposed budget that was approved was a balanced budget in which revenues exceeded expenditures only by 67,000, so very, very close. The proposed budget included the assumption that step increases to hourly rates for all employees would not occur based on recommendations from City Council during the workshop. However, subsequently, the city attorney advised that the City Council could not unilaterally freeze step increases for employees, as this would require agreement from the employee unions. As such, the city attorney recommends amending the budget to put the step increases back in. In addition to the proposed budget amendment for the step increases, we figured we would take the opportunity to include several other items that occurred subsequent to when the budget was approved, and these include the following: renegotiation for the lieutenant position promotion, the funding of the intern position for the finance department through ARPA, repurpose of the PCF funds, which are the paid call firefighter funds for an intern program, institute the Safe Routes to School project for the LaGuardia as a capital project, and repurpose the remaining ARPA funds from the vegetation maintenance line item. Each of these changes and their impact to the general fund and other funds is explained in more detail below. For the general fund revenue, the transfer from ARPA was updated to include the funding for the finance department intern in the amount of $6,500, and this was recommended from city council after the last meeting regarding the budget. In addition, the transfer from ARPA was also updated to reflect the reinstated step increases for the Parks and Rec manager whose role is fully funded by ARPA in the amount of an additional $2,000 for that step. Overall, the amended budget includes estimated revenues for the general fund of $6,931,513, which represents an $8,500 increase from the budget that was approved last. For the expenditures for the general fund, the reinstated step increase resulted in a total increase to expenditures for the general fund of $57,900. And this was divvied up in the following manner. So for the finance department, it was $5,800. For the building maintenance department, this was $1,200. The police department was $39,800. The fire department was $8,000 and $3,100 for the parks department. As the intern was approved to be funded by ARPA, the finance department's budget on the expenditure side was increased for the $6,500. So this is a wash with the funding from ARPA and no effect to the general fund. In regards to the lieutenant position, there were negotiations subsequent to the adoption of the budget that were significant enough to be included in this report because they amounted to $28,300. The reinstatement of step increases and the new information on the lieutenant position overall increased costs by a combined amount of $86,200, which threw the budget off balance by about $16,700. As a result, the budgeted overtime for the public safety departments was decreased by this amount to balance the budget, as it is thought that the lieutenant position would receive an additional incentive pay for holiday time worked that would directly decrease overtime costs for other employees having to work on holidays. Lastly, the fire department a budget line item that was formerly reading as PCS, which is a paid call firefighters, was changed to temporary salaries to account for the approved resolution from the last meeting to reinstate the intern program for the public safety department. So there was no additional effect to the general fund, just the labeling on the line item for the budget. In conclusion, the amended budget includes revenues of $6,931,513 and expenditures of $6,931,096, which is really equal pretty much for the most part. There's no wiggle room at this point, but it is balanced as it's estimated. The approved budget includes revenues. So this represents an increase to the revenues of $8,500, which I explained above from the last budget that was approved, and an increase of expenditures of $75,400 from the budget that was approved last. Currently, the amended budget is in balance, which means revenues are just enough to cover the estimated proposed expenditures, but this is very break even. The difference between the revenues and expenditures is only $400. During the mid-year review of the budget, which will happen probably sometime in January, the council will have an opportunity to review revenue or any new revenue that may come in, or any costs to date, along with projected costs and revenue for the remaining of the year in order to fund expenditures that were cut at that point. I included a visual just summarizing, the expenditures for the different departments of the general fund as they were approved from the last meeting, and then how they changed and that effect there. Moving on to the other funds, because there's employees that affect other funds, so for Measure A, the budget increased $2,900 to put back the steps. Also in regards to the street department, the SB1, Safe Routes to School, before did not include the project, for the Safe Routes to School, because this was expected in a subsequent fiscal year. However, this is no longer the case, and the capital project is planned to be completed in the current fiscal year in the amount of $114,270 related to the LaGuardia sidewalk improvement. For enterprise fund, the water operating fund increased $2,400 for the step increases and $7,100 for the wastewater operating fund. The transit fund also increased about $100 for the step increases. The miscellaneous special funds includes an amended capital facilities fund program of projects, which is attachment 4, and this includes a capital project that is also related to the LaGuardia sidewalk, which will help fund that project in the amount of $179,539. Overall, the capital improvement projects is summarized in the attachment 3, and the city plans on completing $20,346,971 in capital projects for the fiscal year. In regards to the ARPA and its attachment 5, the total award to the city was $1,860,000. The city received the first half in the amount of $930,930 in June 2021, and is expecting to receive the remainder here pretty soon. City Council has approved and allocated a total amount of $1,716,934. It is estimated that by the end of June 2022, the city would have spent $330,606. The proposed budget for the current fiscal year 2023 includes the use of ARPA funds in the amount of $1,396,918, of which $659,000 is to fund general fund expenditures, $30,000 to fund Los Amigos of Guadalupe, and $707,000 to fund capital projects. These figures include the funding of the finance intern and the reinstated step increase for the Parks and Rec manager that we discussed above. In addition, we wanted to know there's a line item that is labeled vegetation maintenance. As this project of vegetation maintenance has been completed, there were some funds left over. And it is, staff is requesting that these remaining funds for this line item in the amount of about $30,000 be used to fund gates for parks in the amount of $14,000, a utility vehicle for the new maintenance lead position that was approved tonight in the amount of $5,000, and a code compliance issue that was brought up by Chief Cash of about $5,000. Attachment 5 describes the use of this fund. I'm open to any questions.
Other numbers, thank you. On the last couple sentences of the ARPA funding, now that 14,000, is that for one or two parks, is one park?
I'll let Hannah answer. The $14,000 for gates or parks. I don't know the specifics to you. Is it that quote?
Oh,
So that was the first estimate that we got, and that would be for the installation of the swinging gates at Leroy Park at the two different entrances. So the one entrance, when you first come in and you can drive up into that driveway, and then the second entrance that goes into the decomposed granite. And then there was another quote of, I believe it was $12,000 for the repair of the softball field fence, and then also another installation of a gate there at that parking lot. We did have somebody else come out to give us an estimate. I haven't received that estimate yet, But I believe it would be coming in lower than what the first estimate would be.
So that 14K is basically for Leroy Park.
Yes.
And the problem with that is that, as people know, that you can drive into the parking lot on the east side of the building, because there's no gate there, and we've already had problems, people going down to the back, because there's no gate in the back. Chief, can you talk a little bit about that?
Yes, Mr. Mayor and council. The issue that we had, because the gravel at the back of the park, during late night hours, we had several vehicles that would come and speed out and in the gravel area of the parking lot and push all the gravel up onto the park area. And we also had fears that they drive on the grass area. So having that gate at that back end would keep the vehicles out at night and be able for us to be able to view that location as we drove by.
Council comments?
Yeah, I have question. How did we increase revenue by 8,500? Where did that figure come from?
It came from ARPA, so $6,500 is to fund the intern. So the intern at first had been cut, but then when the budget was approved, it was suggested that the budget include the intern for our department, finance department, and then cost $6,500 to be funded with ARPA. So then it has to be represented as a transfer in the revenue side, and then also on the expense side, so that then it washes out.
Got it. Negotiations for the lieutenant position. How did we, this is over budget, right, from what we originally come up?
I'll let city administrator talk to that. I was not part of
Yeah,
the
and
negotiation.
The negotiations with the lieutenant position started when the former HR person was here, and so that amount that was put in there originally was at a step C. And it kind of progressed through back and forth negotiations for a good year, to the point at which our interim HR person and I were working on negotiating that, and it just came to the point that to the resolve of where it is today. So would you like to add to that, Amelia, at all on the negotiations?
Yeah, and our thought, I think my thought anyway, was to reduce the costs
Right.
and then look the other way.
Same.
Yeah. I don't know, Chief. Cash, should we need to?
For the negotiations, I was not a part of, but as far as on the cost reduction, that personnel become part of management, so I've really just looked on that individual schedule. There is no overtime that's being allocated. And as of right now, that person's on duty and I'm on duty, so you got two of us that are not being paid overtime. And that is overtime that will decrease
We'll see some.
a lot of the overtime, most definitely.
Of at least $28,000.
I'll hold the line.
Any other comments, council?
I think I have one, and it's pertaining to this line item. I feel there's like a conflict in me right now, because quite honestly, I feel like it's like we approve one thing and then it comes back again, like round robin style. And I understand that changes happen, and a lot of times we even said we'll wait till mid-year to be able to look at some of these and be able to see where our revenues are. And it's when we have when we have a budget that's only has $400 of wiggle room, that's not like that's nothing. That's that's one person buying a whole flat of paper like that we can go over. And this for me, I think just looks like if I was a person from the outside looking in, I would say that we definitely internally, I feel like we need to work on the transparency of what this looks like, because as they come up in the big budget, and we've had such round robin style of this over and over and over again, it just, I don't like doing piecemeal things. I just don't think it's very fair for people who may have been very tuned throughout the budget process to then have something come up later on. Come in there. It's just not transparent, like I said, like, there's really no other word that we can use for that. Honestly, when I saw the increases for this, there was, for me in my mind, I was like, had to ink dry for some of these agreements with people, because that's a reality. I mean, that we have, we may not be paying it in one area, but then later on, we're paying it in purge, we're paying it in the unfunded liabilities, we're paying, things like that come into play. And it's, I don't know, it leaves a little bit of sour taste in my mouth, looking at this budget right now.
So what do you recommend?
Have negotiations been approved?
Not all for
Fine.
for both fire and police? No,
No,
already done.
for this.
For this
specific-
position, yes, it has.
So in essence, this is a formality.
It's
Come with
budgeting
this.
to accommodate that position and the steps, the main thing.
Yeah, the steps were, I understand the steps, and the steps we took because we were trying to reduce costs. So how did we come up with a negotiation, for one person, and we're trying to cut
Yeah.
costs for everyone across the board? It just,
Like, we agreed on a step
we did,
C.
and it got approved, and now we're throwing this at us, saying now we need to approve it. Because it's already been done.
And then aside from that, I'm just looking at the appendages on here. The equity in pay is just not there. And the overall
I don't
compensation and
disagree.
everything on that, that's also not a right thing that's going on. Just looking at, and taking people away from, again, I'm not looking at people, I'm looking at positions. I'm looking at the position of public safety director, for their compensation package to be less than somebody who is reporting to them. I don't think that that's acceptable. So that's just. I mean, I guess, Mayor, you asked us, what do you
Yeah, no,
recommend? There's nothing we can do, I guess, if it's already been negotiated.
I think, the point to HR, it's already down the road, there's an agreement already in place, so.
Maybe this is a learning experience for us as a council as well, that whenever there's something that personnel before and it's been budgeted a certain way, that we, especially for management, I think we have a little bit more control when it comes to management, since it's on a contract
Yeah,
basis.
you see that.
As opposed to like a union, that
Mhm.
we have to hit a certain threshold. Or the certain, kind of like what we do with our purchases, right? Like if it meets a certain amount that we need to kind of look into that. So maybe that's a recommendation for staff to come up with some sort of level that then we come around and we approve it before it gets to
You could do that,
something like that.
absolutely.
Not only could, we need to,
Yeah.
Yeah,
Yeah.
we-
Yeah.
if we're already concerned with our budget and we, expressed it loud and clear, we want to cut, we want to do different step increases, these type of negotiations cannot, we can't negotiate something that we're above our budget. We can't have $400 be our, our only wiggle room,
That's 2 tanks of gas.
exactly. That's,
That now.
maybe one.
maybe even one with our buses, so
It's true.
not even a bus tank, but,
So we're running on fumes.
Yeah.
yeah.
Well, you know,
Yes. We need both.
electric buses. I think your point well made, that, and both of you, in the sense that we we did agree on moving this forward without the, the changes that we're looking at.
Right, we
right now.
agreed to something,
Yeah.
but not this. And this being already done and we can't do anything about it is a big issue.
Well, where before us is a resolution. I think that staff hear what we're saying, what council members are saying. So what's the wishes of the council in terms of resolution 2022-71?
Before, I guess before we do anything like that, I don't think we have opened it up to the public yet. We got knee deep right away.
I don't know if this is.
That's very.
It's regular.
Anybody in the public?
No. Okay. It's open to the public, but it's not a public hearing. Okay, back to the council. What's the wish of the council on resolution 2022-71? I don't think we have much wiggle room at all.
Yeah,
I think what we're saying, what you're saying, some of us are saying, that this, we need to make sure that this doesn't happen in the future, that the negotiations are before us, before we make a decision on overall.
Yeah, so then I guess I would just say, before we go into the approval that, that if a policy or something to be looked at, I'm looking at Phil and Lorena and Todd
We'll get it.
and then see like if, something that can be, approved and agendized and
Before we,
cross the T dot the i's kind of thing. Cool, so I will reluctantly motion resolution 2022-71.
thank you. Is there a second?
I'll second.
Any discussion? Roll call, please.
Councilmember Ramirez,
Aye.
Councilmember Cardenas.
Aye.
Councilmember Costa Junior,
Aye.
Councilmember Willis,
Aye.
Mayor Julian.
Aye. 4-1. 4 yes and 1 no. Thank you all for your comments. Now, Lorena, thank you for the.
Thank you.
Thank you. It's hard to find wiggle room, but there's no wiggle room. Thank you. Okay, item 13, city council arguments in favor of measure Z. Mr. Simple.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor, members of the city council. At the city council's meeting on June 14th, the council unanimously voted to place a measure on the upcoming November ballot to consider amending portions of our TOT ordinance, transient occupancy tax, to increase the types of categories subject to the tax, specifically to include such things as RV parks, campgrounds, and other types of lodgings that aren't clearly defined under the ordinance, as well as to increase the rate from 6% to 10%. The council has the right to submit an argument in favor of the measure that would be published in the voter guide. And at that June 14th meeting, the council delegated to the mayor, which is unusual. The mayor doesn't usually get delegated to, but he graciously accepted to basically work with staff on the measure. Let me give him in favor of the measure. Staff worked with Mr. Mayor on the measure. Excuse me, I've kept it sitting on the argument in favor. The measure is Z, by the way. I think they're made better in the staff report. It's measure Z. That's what I'll refer to it from here on out. The staff report has an attachment of an argument in favor that the mayor has approved informally with me. And it's up to the council now to one of three options: approve the argument as is by motion, deliberate and revise the argument and approve the revised argument by motion, or decline to submit this or any other argument in favor of the measure Z. And with that, I conclude my report.
Any comments from the council or suggestions or changes?
Good job. I do like the last paragraph there, that I think it's important for residents to know that this is not gonna cost them a penny,
Right.
It's visitors.
We just need motel.
Yeah.
We just need the motel.
So if you're a developer out there and you want.
Got some money lands off the one.
One hotel would plug our budget gap for sure.
There you
so.
go.
Yeah.
Okay, what's the wishes of the council? Is there a motion to approve the argument?
I'll motion to approve the argument for measures.
Is there a second?
I'll second.
Any discussion? All those in favor of the motion say aye.
Aye.
All ayes. Thank you. Thank you. Phil.
Thank you.
Clarification. This is the motion to just to approve.
The
Approve the argument.
as well.
No, there's no, I'm sorry. There's no resolution.
Yeah, that's all I'm asking.
Yeah, there's no resolution. There's,
Just approving the argument.
just proving the argument that was attached to the staff report.
All right, item 14. Are we look? Does he have something?
No budget stuff.
Yeah, no, but
Oh, yeah, yeah,
Don't shift the budget,
no.
Unless it's a reduction.
unless it's a reduction. We can.
Then just look.
We magically come up with like.
There you go. Oh,
How about the second reading for the ordinance for the development? Can that go on there on the ninth?
Consent for August 9th.
That's, yeah, it's already on.
Oh, it's on, okay.
Yeah, well, by motion. We are going to move the past meeting lease amendment to, our agreement to, August 23rd. Is that correct? Yeah. It's not quite ready.
okay,
And add the special meeting of August 16th into the mix.
right. We get extra pay for that, right?
Pardon me?
We get extra pay for that. You know, I was figuring
Yeah,
out.
you probably get like 38 cents or something.
Where?
Maybe in that even.
No, we have to pay for this stuff.
Yeah, you probably, the gas alone is. gonna kill you.
Time on the first, how many hours? Oh, yeah, I got 25 cents an hour.
Okay, next item is, announcement, council city activity reports. We'll go from my left to the right. Yo.
I think Hannah is doing a great job with our sports and recreation. I can attest to that. We've had a big turnout on Wednesday. And I believe we were, 6 weeks in with volleyball? 6 to 7. And the numbers are increasing. We've got, last week I got to play, I think it was 5 to 6 teams. So we're having a lot of energy with that. And also, I'm not sure the numbers of basketball. I haven't stopped by there on a Friday. Our numbers pretty good there?
Yeah, they're really good, actually. I believe before, a lot of people were coming during lunchtime, on Fridays. And I think it sometimes could cause issues just because of people's jobs and, schedule conflicts. So a lot of those people have started coming to the evening ones. And then we also have a lot of the kids from the community that come out. So I believe last Friday, there was probably like 20, maybe a little less than 20, but it's been pretty steady. The 10 or 15 people that were coming at lunch are now coming in the evening, plus, like I said, the additional kids that have been coming in the evening as well. So that's been steady as well.
Softball's been going good. I think we got one game and then playoffs, correct?
Yeah, so just for anyone watching this meeting, the playoffs will be on August the 6th, which is a Saturday. So the schedule isn't finalized yet because we're waiting on this game to be able to match up according to standings, yeah. But the first game will be at 10 a.m. and then the second game will be following that. And then whoever wins from those 2 games will be playing the championship game at 1 p.m.
And just with feedback, I mean, this is the first time we've had any adult sports programs, and we're drawing a lot of excitement, a lot of energy. So I think it's going well with the shoestring budget or fumes that we're running on right now. Also, I just want to touch base. We didn't have our first multi class at the Guadalupe Cultural Center that Sunday. And I believe we had about 20 people show up. So it was a pretty good turnout. And I did attend the resource fair on Saturday. And we hosted Fresno CCG.
Yeah.
And the Sir Jobs. And they had a great theater and Hannah actually danced for us. So thank you.
Gene,
Just, let everybody know that, football started for our youth here. They're out there at Jack O'Connell right now, Monday through Friday. You come up to the Thursday night softball game, there's gonna be limited parking. No, but, yeah, it's
You
good
could
to see
charge, you
that,
could charge.
that football starting back up and the kids are getting out there and getting ready.
If I can add to that really quickly, I believe there's a gentleman that I spoke to earlier about recreation activities available for children. While we don't at the time at least do youth recreation services, there are independent groups that we work with that are in the city. So Guadalupe Football is one of them that serves the youth that that opportunity is available. And then the Folklorico group that performed on Saturday has a kids class that runs Wednesdays and Thursdays from 6:30 to 7:30, and that is free. And then I believe Guadalupe Football does a lot of fundraising and stuff to make it accessible to all the kids in the community. So those are two opportunities, and we're hoping to work with more groups and have more opportunities available for the youth here.
And if I could just add to that, yesterday was their first day of Hell Week over at Conditioning Week at O'Connell Park. And it's been a while. I think we've had lack of cheerleading sign up, and we have Emily Dredling from Parks and Recreation Commission. She got wrangled up to do that, and you can hear the girls yelling from where I live, and you can hear them. It's a good turnout. I mean, it's good to be out there when we play softball on Thursdays, and we have a great contingency of people out there. We've got people from Pasadena. We've got, it's really nice to see. It's very good. I'm good.
and we were working with the Boys and Girls Club. And that should be coming pretty quick in terms of how we're gonna use Leroy Park to expand service for the youth. I thought,
Yeah, so Shannon, myself and Garrett actually met up with Charter and we had a fun meeting. It was actually very informative to kind of go over the specifics. It's interesting to see when what one party thinks of something, another party does, and then kind of communicating that back and forth. And so it's going to be basically like a quarterly meeting with ourselves and with the representative from Charter to make sure that the services, so people know about the services, they know about the cost affordability of some of their plans. And then also just coordinating efforts that we're doing with the broadband that I saw that you're doing here, coordinating efforts with broadband so that where there's no, well, possibly duplication of services, but intentional duplication, as well as, I'm forgetting one, Shannon. Oh, yes, now we have a direct line of communication with someone who can help solve some issues when residents have some issues pop up, as I expressed to them. We all had our woes of frustrations, both citywide as well as just being residents of Guadalupe, and how sometimes we feel like we don't know who to contact. So now we have a point of contact, which I think was very beneficial. Did I forget anything, Shannon?
No, that was really good. Also,
put it way too fast.
Thank you for bringing that up. The only other element that I'd like to bring up is that we were asking them questions about redundancy and what they're doing in terms of being able to provide a redundancy to demonstrate to the city the strengths and opportunities of their system.
Oh, and then one last thing too, is that we also talked about the coordination between the city as well as Charter, since they're one of the main providers here. Is that whenever we have something opened up, seeing if there's an opportunity for us to put nodes, see, we're learning, nodes, in there while it's open, so that way we don't have to like break into asphalt or do anything like that if we're already there, so.
Lily,
Yeah, Lorena and I think we finalized already the new, for the assistance, originally it was supposed to be loans, we're now moving into grants. For micro enterprise assistance, and so, that should be hopefully ready by the August 9th. So, this will be for those, businesses or people who are looking into business, who went through the technical assistance, they did the classes, they did everything, and now they can apply for assistance, financial assistance, to support them through their business.
I have one more, sorry, I forgot. There's just so much going on. This Friday, many of the nonprofits, myself, spearheaded by Los Amigos, we're gonna be working with like coordinating services a little bit better in Guadalupe, so making sure that everyone knows what's going on, seeing if there's a way that we can help each other. So we'll be meeting this Friday to kind of get that that ball rolling. So more to come this next time around. If anyone else is interested, there's room for one more.
okay. I've got a whole bunch of writing here. I'll quickly go through it. And there's this is, Amelia sent this to you, so you don't have to.
Oh, thank you.
Don, you want to give one to the attorney, and this is, this will be in our minutes. Calvan meeting, where we belong to the California Van Pool Authority, Joint Powers Authority. And which are the Calvan, the city Calvan vans that are running around. There are 727 vans in the state of California, 616 ag vans, 109 non-agricultural vans, to where a business can actually rent or have a van assigned to them to take their employees back and forth. In Santa Barbara County, we have 83 vans, San Luis County 19, and you will see vans on Pioneer Street down on the H2A, yeah. Down, you'll see vans there. What's been happening, the converters have been stealing the converters of the vans. And what's happening is that they're gonna be converted to electric. And without much of a requirement in terms of actually changing over, so we'll be able to go electric with these vans. That'll be in about 18 months or so. There's, if anybody wants to go, there's August 10th, 11th, Van Pool Authority Board of Directors meeting in Sacramento. I don't want to go. So, SDCAG, Santa Barbara County Association of Governors, we belong to that group. And Shannon knows about this. We approved this last meeting, safe routes to school, bicycle and pedestrian program, cycle 3, City of Guadalupe of 114,710. So thank you for being input on that. Also, the broadband technical assistance program. SDCAG is applying for a $500,000 grant, which is a local HD technical assistance, which will go to SDCAG and all the county, where Bill Simmons is still the point person with that. And also, it's mentioned that we can actually apply for some money for the city itself, which is not in competition with them. It's actually, if we need some support staff in Guadalupe for moving forward with it for broadband, that we also can apply, and Bill Simmons recommended that we do apply for some funds so we can have a local person here. Area pollution control program. They have the clean air rooms pilot program, which is those clean air units. There's 78 units. There was quite a few people that didn't get their units. So they're going to distribute 78 units, 70 to the Guadalupe School District in each of the classrooms. These are the clean air monitors, not monitors, but the systems. Some will go to Casmelia. If there's extra, they'll go to the city, the Dude Center in Los Amigos de Guadalupe. The Joint City County Portable Housing Task Force. I participate with that. We meet this coming Thursday to look at the first time home buyer down payment loan program, and also report on pending and recent approved housing projects within the city, within the Santa Barbara County cities. Los Puentes Unidos, which is a resource fair, group from Fresno came down. There was a total of about 60 people came down in a bus, 50 in a bus and some in the cars. That was, and I just wanted to mention the groups that were out here in the courtyard here. Thanks to Hannah for actually putting out the word. Some of the group City of Guadalupe Recreation Department for Political, Padrecito, Teresa, Lunch for Seniors, Guadalupe Business Association, Pacific Pride Foundation, Serve Jobs for Progress Committee, Arts and Technology, Micro Enterprise Program, American Genetic Forum, Boys and Girls Club, California Conservation Corps, Community Changers, Little House by the Park, Family Services Center, Los Amigos of Guadalupe. 60 kids, 60 parents and kids had lunch at the senior center. I had hamburgers, and then Serve Jobs for Progress, and the local coordinator, Michael Jimenez, who lives in Pasadena, actually helped did fund all the services, the lunch and the take-home burritos from Roman. So, and again, thanks to Hannah, the recreation coordinator, for her efforts and also for performance, like, and she didn't drop the little bowl on her head, so that's.
I have one more thing if I can add one.
Say please.
The color run is this Saturday, so check-in is at 9 and the race will start at 10. I will be doing in-person registration, cash only payments accepted on Friday, and the father from El Padrecito has agreed to offer free 8-ounce frozen yogurt to all registrants that go register. So that'll be this Friday from 4 to 6 p.m. And then we'll also be accepting in-person registration day of. Again, that will be cash only, but we will be accepting registration that day too. I'm available this week as well. I am in and out of the office a lot because I go out to the parks and different facilities. But anyone that needs to register, you can call me on the numbers listed. I don't know, should I say my
Yes,
phone number?
when
Okay.
you're.
So the office number is 805-356-3906. And then my work cell phone is 805-219.
I don't know.
It's hard to know your own number.
3906, or no.
Call the office.
Somebody call me.
I understand that totally. You never call yourself, right?
Oh, correction, I'm sorry. So the office phone is 805-356-3906 and the cell is 805-219-9606.
One last comment, before we adjourn, and this is the point fingers at this guy right here who plays on the opposite team. We have a 5 o'clock game time because Hannah preps the field. And anytime you want to help prep the field, show up at
Why
4 o'clock.
always the home team? No.
If you want to prep the field, then you can be the home team.
I like to work till 5. No.
All right, any other announcements? If not, is there a motion for adjournment?
I will adjourn.
You will adjourn?
I'll make the motion to adjourn our meeting.
Is there a second?
I'll second.
All those in favor of the motion, say aye.
Aye.
All right, thank you, staff. Right on.